higher education for female pupils existed only in Germany, Russia, and USA in the mid of the 19th century. And to universities, at University of Zurich, I do not know how, I forgot how to pronounce well, in 1863, Cambridge and Oxford 1870 and 1878. And you should have in mind that Cambridge and Oxford, I do not know for University of Zurich, but Cambridge and Oxford had been established in 13th century. So in 1878 and 1870, women got an access. So it really is very interesting. So emancipatory trends and manifestations. First, equal right to vote, political dimension. And then gradual overcoming of the patriarchal elements within private, public, and public space related to this well-known dichotomy, private-public dichotomy. We mentioned that women mostly in the private sphere, men in the public. So women have started entering public jobs, factories, schools, and from recently steps towards family-work balance for both partners has been going on in cultural terms and in public policies terms. So more and more male or partnerships are based on this more balanced approach to family work dimensions of the everyday life. And in public policies also are attempt towards more balanced family work distribution. Then in legal terms, differentiation within private and public law happens in the 20th century. It is very important. For example, some dimensions of private life, like as gender-based violence, violence in the family, which used to be something linked to the private sphere between four walls. Who cares what happens within the family? Gender-based violence and family violence becomes a matter of public concern and sanctioning. That's a great shift. And also, right to abortion becomes a private matter in a modern civic law, right to abortion. Then differences in understanding privacy have been happening. So the right to privacy has to be linked to the discourse of human rights. So that's not only something as a private matter in the family, that's a matter of human rights, social rights, civil rights, in a sense of the commitment to racial, sexual, and economic equality. Right to privacy has to be equally accessible to all races, sexual minorities, economic layers of women anywhere. And here is a good quotation: women of color have never achieved liberal kind of privacy or freedom of being left alone. Have you ever thought about, for example, before thinking about reading this and thinking about, so women, poor women, peasant women, women of color, deeply discriminated women, they do not have any right to privacy. No time and space, not only time and space for being left alone. So all of us, we say, leave me alone. We all want and like to have at least minutes, 5 minutes, some time for ourselves. So, but that is not just like that. That is maybe for some of us something given. And then we can consider that as pre-given. It is not. For most of women, it is not. And it has to be taken into So extending, to finish the quotation, extending the notion of privacy to women of color requires the recognition of difference, which results in the recognition of these needs. But not only women of color, this is a part of the quotation, but of all women who are discriminated in multiple different ways. Then, so these emancipatory trends and manifestations are also related to our gradual overcoming of the heteronormative binary approach to gender and gradual affirming rights of LGBTQI persons, although there is an opposition, a strong opposition, still very existent. And there are trends of worsening that situation. For example, in the case of the Constitutional Court of Uganda, which in 2023 announced anti-homosexuality act with banning of rights of homosexuals as constitutional. So it is not constitutional to acknowledge rights of homosexual persons. It really is terrifying and horrifying and horrible. And of course, international and EU human rights law bear significant emancipatory tendencies. So emancipatory tendencies. So now, Jelena, we are coming back to your question. Dialectic of patriarchy and emancipation means that reproducting of elements of patriarchy in different dimensions of individual, group, public, private life have been going on. But at the same time, there are elements of emancipation, and there is matching and struggling and contradictory acting within individuals and groups and within nation states, local, regional, global context of these different, I like to call them different civilizational trends, because they are civilizational trends. One of equality, another of reproducing discrimination and inequality. So do you want to repeat your question to discuss this, or you need some more clarification? At the moment, I'm not inspired to add anything. It seems to me clear, but maybe it is not.
Yeah, it is. For me, it is right now. After everything that you said, now I have a bigger picture of what
Jelena,
it
and
is.
all of us can think, so each of us can reconsider everything what we did, for example, today, how we related to other male or female people, how we understood some situation where discrimination happened and maybe we did not recognize. So in all our reactions and actions and plans and projects and whatever, we always reproduce by intention, with awareness or without that, spontaneously elements of patriarchy, or we are gender aware very well and very much, and then we really do our best always again not to reproduce. For example, I recognize in myself, always again I try to recognize where elements of some patriarchy coming from upbuilding, from cultural patterns, from who knows, spontaneously they outburst in some of actions, reactions, relations, etc. So do you understand
that we all have them?
Yes, that's very important, that we understand when we read, when we think about some public phenomenon, about media, concrete situation, some explanation of, for example, of some violence or gender-based violence, on violence in which is not, we always can recognize whether the others are aware of this dialectic and whether we are capable to recognize elements of this dialectic or not. Is that clear?
Yeah, for me, yes.
You wanted to say something.
Just to be clear, so dialectic between patriarchy and emancipation is that we acknowledge within ourselves the patriarchal learned ways of living. Is that the key?
No. The key, the main point is that, for example, if you mention individual, yourself, or myself, or herself, that in our mindsets, systems of values, standpoints for decision making, for reacting to other people, react for all 24 hours in each day. Also, when we sleep, we can have some dreams in which we can recognize elements of the. Now I'm exaggerating. But in every day, in all our actions, thoughts, reactions, interrelations, we do promote emancipatory trends or reproduction of patriarchy, by intention or without awareness. And we should have this parameter as one of the standpoints for understanding gender, intersectional and gender-based discrimination related initially in patriarchy and intersectional complex patriarchy and struggle with emancipation. I don't know where it is. I have a very where I use the law from physics, but I can't remember now in English. You will help me. The law of Spojenih sudova. It's not easy. So when you have in physics, there is something like this. I don't know how to. I can't explain that to them. Okay. So within dialectic of patriarchy and emancipation, where there is more emancipatory trends existent, there is less patriarchy, and vice versa. And during the crisis, then this balance goes more balance. This balance goes more in the direction of patriarchy. But I can't, in physics, there is the law, I can't remember at the moment. It is mentioned that connected vessels, the law of physics of interconnected vessels, and when one vessel prevails, another one is at lower level. And when something happens like crisis, repatriarchalization, clericalization works in favor of this another vessel, part of this physics construction. I will tell you at the end, I have to find, you can try to find, Serbian is Zakon Spojenih sudova. In English, I know it is written somewhere, but I forgot. Okay, law of communicating, but law of physics, law of nature, but applicable here. So neoliberal, neo-patriarchy, this is very important. And then we will stop in 10 minutes with this, and intersectionality will be considered at another lecture. So neoliberal, neo-patriarchy, rise of neoliberal globalization, you know what I'm talking about, especially from 1980s. The capitalist development got this form of neoliberalism, and globalization has happened within neoliberal capitalism. And neoliberal globalization brought neoliberal neo-patriarchy, or new patriarchy, reproduction of not all patriarchy, but the new one, production, and of course reproduction of elements of the old patriarchy, always. But neoliberal neo-patriarchy is the term used by Beatrix Campbell. I like her book very much. I uploaded that book. It's the shortest possible and the best for me book ever in feminist or in general, because she very rich with ideas and implications for understanding what's going on book, but in a very short 100 pages. And it is Beatrix Campbell. I uploaded that. You have it at Moodle. I like that book very much. And so, rise of oppressive modes of precarious work for women, brutalization of the work conditions, especially in jobs related to care and services, exposure to part-time jobs, easier losing of jobs and more difficult getting them again for female, cruel competitivization and individualization among the employed with bad impacts, particularly on women, rise of sex industry at a global scale affects negatively emancipatory trends in general.
Wage gap also.
Yes, So that's implied. I couldn't, but please add whatever. So that's implied in the first what I said, because with women much more present in the part-time jobs, it means the gender pay gap expands, etc., etc. Then human trafficking at the global scale affects particularly women. Migration flows in rising trends, particularly affecting negatively women. Misuse of women in the global industry of entertainment. Tabloidization of women and neo-patriarchal roles of women in media and social media. Misuse of the beauty industry for neo-patriarchal female roles and images. Neoliberal global crisis from 2008 and on, and trends of and austerity measures, survival strategies, retraditionalization and repatriarchalization. Now I'm fastening because you know terms and you can recognize what I want to say. And persistence of patriarchal stigma, stereotypes and prejudice within the new patriarchy, misogyny, and the sharp rise of gender-based violence. So neoliberalism and neoliberal neo-patriarchy leads towards the rising of gender-based violence. I forgot something before, but when I finish this, I will mention that. So neoliberalism generates inequality and radiates violence. And now a few fantastic quotes from Beatrix Campbell. Crime and proliferating armed conflicts can be seen as a neoliberal paradigm. Free trade unfettered by social responsibility, organized by an accountable fraternities of police, accountable without control, privatized. It happens in Serbia also. Those privatized policies, unaccountable. Fraternities of police, militias, and mafia, the most violent regions of the world are associated with the privatization of the public sector, policing and security. This is also to be remembered, what she said, and she is right, that's true. And this privatization of policing and security happens also here with this regime in Serbia. So new quotation, gender-based violence has been on the rise, while sex trafficking has become one of the most profitable trades globally, one of the most profitable industries, with the drug and army and the weapons industry. And one more, millions of women live in societies where violence or deaths is the penalty, and this is very important. Listen, what for answering back, so obedience, old patriarchy, reason for violence. You're not obedient. Loving another man, loving a woman, giving birth, for example, to female babies, going to school. You see what's going on in Nigeria with Boko Haram.
In Afghanistan also.
Afghanistan is the worst place in the world, and this Nigeria is horrible, but Afghanistan is the worst possible. I do not have a time now to speak about, but in all respects. And listen, what is the worst, Jelena, when you mention Afghanistan? Women of Afghanistan or from Iran. I saw at Instagram images, photos from different phases of life in Iran, Afghanistan, and other countries with completely different images of women. Women in bikini 30 years ago and now.
Yeah, before the Iranian Revolution.
And listen, in Afghanistan, between two Taliban regimes, in 20 years between this last Taliban regime of a few years ago and 20 years ago, women again started attending universities, normally taking part in the public life, walking through the streets, being able to go to, and so when you have, it's easier to say allegedly, and to some extent easier for peasantry women who have not had some emancipatory experience before. But can you imagine for women who had that kind of experiences and then being deprived of that? It really is. It is the worst possible dialectic of patriarchy and emancipation. Okay. So now to finish with this different crisis. What I forgot when I mentioned dialectic of patriarchy and emancipation, because I started the discussion with Jelena and with you, I forgot to mention that the mere dialectic of these different civilizational trends also represents one of the triggers and sources of violence. Because when you have for example, in between two persons being in partnership, one is very patriarchal, another is a little bit or more open for more civic life, or different patterns of life, or more curiosity, etc. So killing of women happens often because of these clashes of civilizations, or killing, for example, in Germany or in Western countries where there are immigrants from the countries where their have been established very rigid ethnic habits towards female persons, daughters, sisters, killing of them, honor crimes, because they appropriate some new, different approaches to everyday life, to relations with the male, female, dressing codes, etc., etc. So killing by parents or by brothers has been going on, and also something different but connected. What mentions concerning these clashes of civilizations, Beatrix Campbell mentions that in India, so the law advanced, so emancipatory trends in civic law, inheritance law have been introduced, that female members of families have the equal right to property. And then it happens that brothers kill sisters if they feel that maybe they should apply that right to equal property. Or, for example, in our country, it still has been happening. So equal right to property is the law, the legal rule. But many women and male members of families, especially in peasant surroundings, presuppose that they will not use that right. And even so, there is the talk about how it is important to educate notary officers, to inform female persons not to take off, to disregard their right to property because their brothers or fathers or families do accept. Yes. To sign that they do not want that it belongs to their brothers.
That is a crucial thing. How big is my house?
Yes, that's it. So still here in the 21st century, that's not only here, not only here. Okay, so we are coming. So I mentioned how different crises. What do these terms, which I mentioned, repatriarchalization, traditionalization, clericalization, what do they mean? And can you explain if you agree with me? So my premise is that each crisis, whether natural disaster or social, political, also what I did not mention earlier, turning more democratic into populist authoritarian regimes always leads also towards repatriarchalization, putting into question right to abortion, rights of LGBT. So all these rights
And and right-wing actually policies.
Yes. But so political crisis, changes of regimes, rise of right-wing, populist, authoritarian trends, etc., pandemics, all these sort of wars. As I said, the first, Second World War did contribute, but usually wars lead towards worsening the position of women. So what do these terms repatriarchalization, clericalization, retraditionalization mean? Can somebody says? It's not so important that you say, but if you can do. But yes, they all are backsliding. But what exactly does clericalization mean? What exactly repatriarchalization mean? Traditionalization. For example, when you hear nowadays here in Serbia right-wing representatives who speak about that everything related to gender, some 138 genders too much opening space for LGBT, for gender equality. That's all gender ideology. That's something imported from the West or from abroad, etc., etc. In what sense it means manifestations of repatriarchalization, of retradition. I always have the problem, retraditionalization and clericalization. Can you explain? Louder? No, from the point of values and aims.
I think it's more of like reintroducing it as the new idea, but as the old idea. Like
Reaffirmation of patriarchy, of gender inequality.
and this is what it led to it. So we need
Family is keeping family equal to patriarchal family.
more in order to change the price.
Okay, I think that's enough for today. I enjoyed. I don't know. I hope that you also please ask, comment, criticize, add, whatever you want. Do not hesitate. Just feel free. And then we will finish.
You're going to continue this on Thursday or Monday?
On Monday, I think on Monday. On Friday, we go on. Because I do not dare in methodology course to include the topic, the history of political theories reconsidered. Because this is what also can be considered within methodology. So the last part of this lecture will be dealt with on the next Monday at methodology lecture, and on Friday we will speak about, it is also very interesting, history of political theories, which is, mainstream theories are male-stream theories. So mainstream is male-dominated, in a sense, men authors, men equal to human being, how it is articulated, how the ideas are articulated, and that's it. So feminist reconsideration of feminism. So that is on Friday. And on Monday, no, not Monday, methodology is Monday, I think. So tonight I will send you will have enough time after that methodology lecture, enough time for responding to both. Both questions will be related to intersectionality, interrelation between patriarchy and intersectional approach to gender-based discrimination, and another interrelation between intersectionality approach, gender justice, and substantive gender equality. All these terms and their conceptual analysis within legal discourse and political discourse, they are interconnected, mean similar or complementary things. Yes. That is there. Okay, I couldn't remember where. Natural science, physics, called communicating vessels. Okay. So thank you for tonight, and we will go on. And please work on your registering for Moodle. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you and goodbye.
Bye. Thank you. Dushanka.
Thank you so much, madam.
Okay, thank you.
Onda samo da se izađe.
Dobro, ali nisam još izašla iz...
Možete na 100.
Dobro.
To je onda x dole.
Bye.
ovde dole. Bye.
Bye. Neće ovo da se prekine.
End meeting for all.